What up, everybody? Welcome to the IAG Thursday thing. This thing that we do every Thursday, most of the time, where we all get together, hang out with cool people, learn stuff, chat about what the future may be, and pretty much just hang out. It's always supposed to kind of feel like a parking lot meet where we all get together and just chat it up. So we try to keep the lizard talk running the government to a minimum, and it's just hanging out, which is always good. As usual, I am joined by my partner in crime, Warranty, who is back this week. Very excited.
Hello, sir. I saw you last week, and we had delicious fried catfish together.
Yes, we did. It was a miserable week last week. I'm not gonna lie. And then producer Jordan, unfortunately, I don't think made it.
I don't think he's here.
Made it. So either way, poor guy. No big deal. But we also got Randy in here. Randy helps us with a lot of the background stuff, getting the thumbnails together, and trying to hunt some people down. We've been trying to put some sweet stuff together. So
great. Shout outs to Randy. It's a great thumbnail this week. It's a just good looking man on that thumbnail.
Well, I mean, this man is so damn dreamy. This man is so damn dreamy. This week we are crazy lucky to have Mr. Rick Conk on the show. Rick, how you doing, bud?
Dude, I'm doing awesome. How you guys doing?
Great, man. I'm so stoked to have you on here. So, again, little starstruck here, because you were kind of, there was a point where I could go as far as to say that you were the face and voice of the modern Subaru community. We'll get into like where you came from and what you did, but most people are going to remember you as the dude at the front of, like, kind of the face of Rally Sport Direct. With a lot of their social media and their just media stuff in general. You were one of the originators, man, and it's you put out some killer content, especially in your day. You kind of like blueprinted what a lot of people are doing now.
Yeah, I think back, way back in the day, I genuinely thought it was very good for like, what everyone else was doing. And then I think as time went on, I mean, I've never been or even had the intention to do videos or anything like that. It was just kind of something I fell into. And then, yeah, I mean, we can get into later, but thank you. Appreciate that.
No, I mean, like, seriously, like you were pioneering some stuff there, and you really were doing that when the forums were just starting to kind of lose their stride, and social media was starting to come together, and people were trying to figure out what the next thing was. And I think you jumped on it before anybody else. I think
we were in the right place at the right time, and yeah, it worked, and it worked somehow. It worked well, right? So yeah, I feel fortunate that it did work as well as it did.
So let's chat about you a little bit. Let's kind of do a background on this. We already touched briefly on what you did for a time period. So where are you living these days? What are you up to?
Yeah, good question. I live in Tooele, Utah, so right next to I always call it Miller Motorsports Park. That's what it'll always be to me, but Utah Motorsport Campus. I'm like a stone's throw away from there. I work in the in the city, I guess you want to call it, the big city, at a place called Ekins Garage. We do like high-end hot rods and, that kind of stuff.
Ekins Garage as in snake spelled backwards?
This SNIKE.
Oh, yeah. Almost.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing right now. And, nice. I dig it.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite the departure from what we all know he has, but if you're having a good time, that's what really matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, obviously Subaru's my, that's my car, right? And
Yeah.
I would love to be involved in Subarus in any way, shape, or form. But also at the same time, it has to be right. I worked at a place prior to this that they did Subarus. It was a Subaru machine shop, and it was literally one of the worst jobs I've ever had in my life. So I bailed out of there pretty quick.
Yeah, if it ain't, it's got to make sense for your life, man. And that's something I've had to learn the hard way more than once. So I totally get that. So was that like the Wayback Machine?
Oh, the Wayback Machine, yeah.
Holy cow, that's a picture of Rally
that's
Sport Direct from forever ago.
Holy cow, what year is that from?
2003?
2003. Those of you who are listening on the podcast, we do this, we record this on Discord, okay? And our chat in the Discord is epic. So if you have a chance to catch these live, we record them live every Thursday. That's why we call it Thursday. Every Thursday at 4 p.m. on our Discord. It is Randy just posted a Wayback Machine link from 2003, and that's when I started. Right. 4 p.m. EST.
Holy cow, look at that. That's a Web 1.0 webpage if I've ever seen it. But man, I miss those days.
Holy cow. So, you've been at this for a long time, Rick. When did you get involved with Rally Sport Direct?
So probably about the time that picture or that website was live. I think late 2003, probably early 2004, somewhere in there.
Yeah, you were about as OG as they come. Because you were...
Yeah.
I remember you talking on the forums, and you were kind of like the forum guy for a while, too.
Yeah, we really tried to... I mean, even as the forums were kind of dying down, we really tried to have a presence on... I felt like it was important. Look at that good-looking dude on that Wayback Machine.
Oh, what is this picture? Let's take a look. So another one from...
That's actually not even that old.
No, that one's fairly recent.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. What a...
Oh, you're in the picture. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So yeah, interesting though. I was Rally Sport's second customer.
Second customer, really?
Man.
Yeah.
So let's take a step back even further in RSD. When did you get into Subaru? I'm assuming RSD hired you because you were a Subaru guy or like mildly interested in Subarus or something. Like, how did that all come about? Like, how'd you get into Subarus? Or did it come from, I work at RSD, I should be a Subaru guy now?
No, I was pretty much at that point like hardcore Subaru, and I think it started. I mean, I guess when I was a kid, my uncle used to burn VHS tapes of Speed Vision of the World Rally Championship, right?
Yeah.
But back then, I didn't really fully understand exactly what was going on. And then when I was probably 14, so this would be like 98, 99, my sister's boyfriend had a 2.5 RS. And his family lived in Scotland, and they knew he had a Subaru, and they're like, "Oh, Subarus are super big here." So they would send him like all this media, and like about the 22B and about the rally cars and just about all these different, So he started kind of getting more into the JDM scene. Well, in 2002, he bought a WRX and wanted a JDM hood scoop for it, and so I was looking around on the internet, found Rally Sport Direct. I'm like, "Whoa, they're local." So I bought it. I think I bought it through eBay, and the owner at that time hit me up and he's like, "Hey, I see you're local. Do you want to just meet up?" And so we did. That's not when I got the job. that happened later. And actually, I think how I probably got the job is I would go to these local meets, and at the time I had a swapped GC. It was a '93. Really, really.
So we need to talk about back in the day meets, because people don't really quite understand how small the community was. People don't really get where the Subaru wave came from. Like, that was almost like the meets back in the day were different. So when you're talking about going to these meets, what year are you talking about? Are you talking pre-WRX or post-02 WRX? That'd be like 01.
Well, I had my first performance car was a turboed Civic.
Sure.
And so that was
We all had a turbo Civic at one point.
Yep. But I would go there, and pre-WRX, I was going to not the Subaru specific meets, but just the general meets.
Yeah, the car meet. It's half the time it was the import meet. It was usually like, where'd you guys hold your meet?
Usually up Little or Big Cottonwood Canyon. So we have these two awesome canyons.
Oh, so you guys actually had some like cool canyon roads and like a cool parking lot to do it in or whatever.
Oh, the best. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was
so different areas of the country all have their own thing. Like for me, it was almost always at a grocery store parking. It was a big parking lot. Okay, so you're going to these canyons with your turbo Civic prior to your swapped RS or whatever you had.
Mm-hmm. I'll throw in a picture in Discord for you, just so you can understand how poorly done this swap was.
Yes, I can't
wait.
Don't
say that.
So what year did you get? When did you get your RS?
So the Civic was stolen, as they do.
Imagine the hell out of that.
And so
I thought there was no crime out there.
No, it was one night. Some dude tried to race me, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna race. And he ended up following me home, and I thought it was super sketchy. And then the next morning, I went outside, my car was gone. So,
yep.
God, that's gross.
But in hindsight, my first Subaru was actually a Justy.
Dude, Rick, you were my effing hero.
I'll send a picture of the Justy because the Justy is pretty awesome too. But it's this is Justy post when I owned it in the junkyard.
Okay. This is already poor dead Justy.
Wow.
Look at them gold wheels. Those are Steelies, boy.
Wow. And an actual hood scoop. Man.
Yeah. It was like dryer duct hood scoop.
Hell yeah, bro.
Holy cow.
And this is your GC. So was this an RS or was this
No, this was base 93, Brighton essentially.
Yeah, and that looks like an old EJ20G.
It is. Yep.
At that point, you could buy those damn engines for literally $500.
Yeah, 100%. And
they were so cheap.
I was so right before I ended up getting a job at Rally Sport, I had a guy that I think he was in the Air Force or something. Either way, he'd bring in containers from Japan. So I would bring in, a bunch of version 2s and version 3s, like full, drivetrain, engine, ECU, harness, everything. I think I'd pay like $700 for those.
Yeah, no, it was really, really cheap back in the day. STI swaps, I'm talking tip to tail. You could get a version 7 STI swap, engine, trans, rear diff, knuckles, everything, all of it, like to your door at one point for like $2,500.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody was crazy. Nobody knew what they were.
That's incredible.
They didn't know we could, like, when we first got the bug eye here, they had no idea what they could do. So yeah, you're paying $500 for a full EJ20G swap, and then RS25 would walk you through it. So, okay, we got to ask a question since you're super OG. Were you an iClub guy that transitioned into Nasiak, or did you stay in iClub for a while? How did you fall when that argument went down? Because you were around for that argument, or were you even on the forums at that point?
I was a lurker, and I was Nasiak.
Yep. Okay, so you were Nasiak hardcore the whole time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
See, I was an iClub guy. We're gonna play the game later on, and we're gonna see who's got the older, the lower member number, and I think you're gonna be the first one to beat.
Dude,
I don't know because I ended up giving my number to a girl.
Why would you do that? I've heard of really dumb things, but things you don't give away are your Nasiak member number.
Well, I didn't know it would be called out in the future. Because to me, I was just like, I was pretty big lurker. So she was like, "Oh, I want a low member number." I'm like, "Yeah, you can have mine. I don't care. I'll just make an account." And
that's like a bigger deal than giving away your virginity.
Well, she would post naughty pictures, So for me, like she came to my house, like she was like a Subaru girl.
Yeah.
No, not like that. It wasn't like that. It was just like she came over and hung out with the group, right?
Sure.
And so I was a dumb kid. I was like, ooh, la,
She sounds like a tire biter if there ever was a tire biter.
This has all the stories from a.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is. He is the OG, man. It's so great. So I knew what this talk was going to be. It's just like OG community stuff. Okay, so you got this swap. You're a part of the community. The swap was done janky as shit because everything we did as far as swaps or whatever were janky as shit at that time. Because really, there was no aftermarket for us. It just didn't exist. Especially if you had a JDM engine, it really didn't exist. There was nothing here. Like, did you even tune that car on like an AFC, or were you just like letting her rip?
That one, no. That one was just letting it rip. Open down pipe.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, boy.
It would eat though. I mean I've yet to kill one of those EJ20Gs.
Compared to what other people were running at that time, I can only imagine.
Like,
people need to understand, like, people were going nuts when the bug eye hit and it'd run a 14.2 quarter. Okay, people were losing their shit. Like, it's dangerous on the streets. Like, it was insanity.
You know, it puts into context the Buick Grand National.
Yeah,
this is going on a small tangent, but like when that car came out, it was faster than a Porsche. So can you imagine people losing their minds? So
yeah,
same thing again, but
on a '93 Impreza putting bus lengths on
right,
it. Yeah.
Terrifying.
Well, your Mustang GT of the same vintage was running like if you were really lucky, running about a 15 flat.
Wow.
Like, it wasn't good. Okay.
So, bring back those days.
Yeah, so Rick's out here just stomping nuts off with his '93 Impreza. I love it.
That's
so
ugly.
Did you do any I mean, it was of the time period. I'll admit that I did a bunch of it. Did you do any street racing during that time?
Yes.
We were dumb kids, and I'm not telling anybody to go do that. It was a different time, and we were all dumb.
It was a different time. No,
but
we were all dumb.
I'll tell you when I stopped, because I got caught racing 2 nights in a row, right, by the police, and I went to court, and I'm reading. They had like a chart up of what your sentence could be, and it's like $50,000, a couple of years in jail, and I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. And so the judge tells me to go upstairs for whatever reason, for clerical reasons. And I go up there, and the lady's like, so what did he fine you? I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, what's your fine? He didn't tell you? I'm like, this is the first time I've ever done this. I have no idea what you're talking about. She like rolls her eyes. She's like, what's the minimum something, for whatever code? And lady's like, $50. So I had to pay $50 and go to traffic school. I walked out of there bloating. Ever since then, I drive like a grandma.
Yeah.
Wow.
$80. I bet you that stung, didn't it? During inflation, that was like 100. So
yeah, that was a lot. I mean, for me, that was a lot of money. I couldn't even afford a catback. So
yeah. Did you win?
I would embarrass people. Yeah, someone's asking if I won.
So you've got this '93 Impreza that's swapped. You're ripping around the Salt Lake City area, I'm assuming, and the the surrounding burbs and causing terror. How does you said you were the second customer of Rally Sport Direct? I'm assuming this had to happen right near that time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I had my swap. I'm pretty sure I had my
What did you buy?
A JDM hood scoop for a bug eye for my sister's boyfriend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down. So how long did you keep this L or this base model Brighton, whatever? How long did you keep that thing?
For a couple of years. I actually ended up selling it to Cole Powelson.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. So you're throwing out all sorts of names. People who don't know who Cole Powelson is, he's kind of the king of really fast GTRs in Time Attack right now.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think what is the name of his company?
Life.
Life Motorsports. Yeah,
holy cow,
Cole Powelson.
Royalty. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what. Oh man, this conversation is
Cole.
If you much juicier than I thought it would be.
If you can get Cole on here, Cole is OG Subaru as well.
Oh yeah, we got to get Cole on here. And people lose their mind if I bring Cole on here, and they're going to be like, "Oh, it's going to be about GTRs." No, we're only talking Subarus.
Dude, this is a really small world. Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
So, on the forums, I'm actually going to answer D. Alex Butler's question. So iClub was the original thing, and then iClub split. Okay, and Nasiak split off of it. If you ever go on to Nasiak and go down to the Nasiak archives, like the name went with one guy and all the content went with the other one, and that became Nasiak. So
Yeah,
that's
which
what
one
you're
won?
wondering about.
Content
Nasiak
wins.
really won.
Yeah.
In the end, like pretty much everybody went with IWSTI spawned out of the dingleberries of Nasiak, and idiots with STIs went on to be its own weird thing. That was its own strange community. So oh man, IWSTI.
Man,
Idiots
these are
with
names I haven't
STIs
heard
is
in a
what
while.
almost everybody called IWSTI. There's a lot of stupid shit that came out of idiots with STIs. And RS-25 was its own thing also.
All right, so Rick, you've talked about the early cars and then your purchase from Rally Sport
Yes.
Direct. How exactly did you get hired by the company?
There we
Yeah.
go.
So So I would go show up at these meets, and I'm just gonna say his name, Nick, the owner. Nick would go to these meets, and it was Nick and Ben. So Ben was the very first employee, and I think at the time Ben had an Evo 8, if I remember correctly. But they would show up at these meets and just trying to support, the local scene and kind of get their name out.
Yep.
And I guess I must have impressed them, because one day I got a call. I think Nick found my number somewhere and gave me a call, and he's like, "Hey, we've got, this is what we're doing." I'm like, "Oh, sure." And start. I mean, it
How
was
old
just,
were you when he called you?
oh, I don't know. I'd have to figure out. Wait, I'm not very good with like years
Ballpark.
like that.
Are we talking? We're talking early 20s, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Probably 20.
So let's be real. You were probably working at like fucking Best Buy or some shit. Okay, you at that point, and he calls you up and goes, "Hey, you want to go do cool car shit instead of whatever junk you're doing?" I guarantee you were working some shithole job.
I was
Am I
selling
right?
JDM engines.
Oh, you were? You were flipping JDM engines at that point?
Yeah, not very successful.
Wow.
But that was your day job?
Well, I mean, that's kind of how, I didn't really have a job per se at that point. It was
He's
more
20,
just like,
right?
Man, you're
Yeah,
so fucking cool.
I don't think I'm that cool, but
I think you're fucking cool as shit, man. If I would have known you at that time, I would have just been like, "You're the coolest person I ever met."
All right, so this wasn't going, from the minors to the majors. This was, from a very cool side hustle, let's call it, to RSD, Rally Sport Direct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was, I mean, tiny. I mean, I think it originally started in Nick's apartment, right? And then I think they just moved into this tiny shop, and that's kind of where it started, and obviously grew from there. But it was, very, very humble beginnings for sure.
What did you do for them from the beginning? Was it always kind of media?
No,
we didn't call it social media back
there
then.
was no such thing as like social media wasn't a thing then.
No,
So
you're right.
I'm gonna just assume, okay, and I'll let you finish, but I want to assume because I want to figure out how much. I'm assuming what they needed was somebody who knew how to move around the forums correctly and sell on there.
Basically, I would say they just needed another body. So I did
Okay.
everything. I was primarily, I called myself customer service, and that's where I felt like I really shined. But I also did, like we had a warehouse. We didn't. It was all one room. But I did the shipping, receiving. We had a little shop car. I would do the installs on the shop car. I was the official model at the time. So I somewhere I have some old pictures of back in that when we first got our first shirt, right?
Looking cute.
Yeah. And but yeah, just kind of someone who did everything. And I think being able to sell on the forums. But I always called myself like the anti-salesman, and I think Nick hated it because I would spend I could spend 2 hours on the phone with a customer just walking them through what they were doing and what they wanted, and really trying to get them the right parts as opposed to just sell them something.
Yeah. No, that's one of the things, like, you always came across genuine, which I think got lost in the future with a lot of other things, but you always felt like a proper source of information, which meant something. Like if you said, "Hey, I really dig this," like we felt you actually really dug that.
Yeah, it certainly got watered down. Obviously, as things do, towards but at the beginning, like those videos at the beginning were, I would literally just go down into our warehouse. I'm like, that first video someone posted up a link or a picture with that Prova knob, dude. I
Yeah.
was Prova fanboy, right? And so like that was like, I'm like, oh, that's a natural. So I could just talk, right? And that's why I think I maybe came off that way, is just because it was something I was so genuinely excited about that it was easy for me to talk about.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of things are, like a good example is our best video or our best podcast right now is me yammering about DCCD. And like, I just get like, I love talking about DCCD. So I think it comes across in the podcast really well.
Mhm.
And that's the same thing. Like if I'm going to talk about something, I want to talk about something I'm passionate about. And it's harder to talk about stuff that you don't give a shit about.
No,
Oh, yeah.
totally.
So you would just walk down there. Whose idea was it to just start making YouTube video?
To be honest, I have no idea. Because I worked, so I went to school. So I went to school full time, and then so Nick actually. Okay, I guess I should explain this. I did leave rally sport for about a year and a half, and I moved to Canada, and just kind of hung out up in Canada. I didn't really know what I was doing with my life at the time, and I just needed like a break. And my buddy was going up to culinary school up there, and he called me. He's like, "Hey, you want to move to Canada?" I'm like, "Sure." So I sold.
No plan, no nothing. I'm just going to Canada.
Yeah, I mean, he had
I
a nice
love it.
apartment in BC, like downtown British
Wow.
Columbia, and so I went and stayed with him for a while. And then when I came back, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to school, right? Because that's what you do when you don't know what you want to do. And so going to school, and then Nick called me and asked me if I wanted a job back. I said sure. And so I would work nights. I would work, something like 4 p.m. until midnight. And that's when we started up like the night chat thing. But because it was so slow, I had all this free time. And I, if I wasn't doing homework, it's like, well, this is a good way to fill in the time, as I would just shoot videos.
Yeah.
Wow.
I forgot about those. Yeah. No, which is great. That makes all the, and dude, I think that was that was genius smart.
Yeah.
That was big genius smart.
It's underrated to take time off to figure out what you're going to do. And then the second thing you said there is it's really easy to work hard and have success when you really love something genuinely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
The other thing I love about what he's doing though is like he was second shift, and it happened almost out of boredom, but it was what a great way to use your time, because it turned into this huge, absolutely massive source of information for the community.
So what exactly is this? I'm not as familiar as you are.
It literally just was, most of it was him doing kind of basic open box product reviews for Subaru parts that they had at Rally Sport Direct.
Yeah, okay.
But he was like one of the original people to ever have done it. Like nobody did it. And,
what year was this? Would you say, Rick?
What was that? 2008 was that first video? I can't tell.
Right at the beginning of YouTube. Oh man,
I'm talking.
Right place, right time.
He was right when YouTube, and this was right when like forums were still popping the hell off.
Yes.
But it was real easy to link a YouTube video to the forum, and then doing stuff with video. It was massive, and most of all of their original stuff, like their I think Randy just posted something up, was him just kind of pulling stuff out of the box and poking around at it.
Yeah, so all these videos 100%. Are posted about 14 years ago. They've all got about 5 to 25,000 views. Man, this was like way ahead of its time.
Oh, dude, this seems so minor, but it's really hard to explain when all you've ever seen was like an ad for something, or like you see it on a website. You never actually like get to physically kind of see somebody handling it or talking about it. Wow, this thing's like really heavy, or like weird texture stuff that you just can't, it doesn't come over in an ad. This was a mind fuck for its time.
Right. way ahead of its time. And this, I mean, it is advertising for Rally Sport Direct.
Oh, it totally is. This is
it was better quality advertising.
Massive for the community because a lot of us got to see what this shit was before we bought it.
Yeah, and it cost them very little. It's a guy and a camera.
So, okay, back to this. Was this your idea, their idea, or you're just like, I'm bored, I need to do something? Like, what?
I honestly don't know. I can 100% say it was not my idea. It was, I want to say, because at this time we did have a guy who came in who actually I'm really good friends with now, named Yasmin, or JT as we called him. And I want to say it was kind of his idea, like, hey, because he was a media guy, right? He did photos, videos, and either way, it was somebody's idea, and I'm like, oh, I can shoot those at night, and then you guys can edit them in the day, and that's how we did it. So it was somebody's idea.
But at a certain point, you guys got away a little bit from just like basic box opening stuff, and you started doing like a build series. You started messing around with you taking the cars outside, installing the parts, actually using them. When did that really start? Looks like we've got.
Let's see. So that would be. So we did some exhaust videos, I think, first. Yeah. And then that's kind of.
Again, you were like the first people doing this because nobody knew what an exhaust sounded like unless they went to a meet, heard somebody else have it, which is why everybody had the HKS carbon tie because everybody knew what it sounded like. Yeah. There was only 2 exhausts that sold at that point: HKS carbon tie and a Q300. You want the loud one or the quiet one? That's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
We really tried to do it right. Setting the mic at a certain distance. We would try to. I remember from very early on, we tried to standardize it, right? So you got a good idea. It wasn't. I mean, it's all relative, right? Depending on the mic, depending on your speakers,
sure.
but at least video to video, there would be consistency in that, and that was something I think we did really early on. Fairly well.
Yeah, that counts for a lot, and people underappreciate it. So much on the internet nowadays is just, you don't really know what you're going to get until you watch half a dozen videos from a bunch of different people. But if I know that this is a quality video, I can compare side to side from the same video people. 10 out of 10. Love it.
There's still people using the living shit out of these exhaust videos too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
I get sent these exhaust videos still all the time. Hey, can you still get this?
Wow.
And it's their video. It's like this was one of the things that like I'm not afraid to admit. I when I worked at TH Motorsports, like our website was complete shit. All right, I used Rally Sport Direct to look up all of my part numbers because I knew it was correct. All right, they took their own pictures, so I knew what was in the box by using their pictures. So like and this wasn't just me. This was the entire community did this because they knew it was good info. And then their exhaust videos and things like that. Their videos you guys were so far ahead, like because you were producing them at a level at a high enough level that camera phones were garbage. It was pretty rare that somebody even had a DSLR that could do video, or if they did, it always had a shit mic. Like vlogging was still this really new thing. People weren't taking good videos with decent cameras.
Yeah,
God, you guys were incredible.
I think we got lucky too, though, because like I said, Yasmin was a photographer, and then we had our IT guy, who's actually still there now, Justin, who was also a photographer, a video nerd, an editor, just a kind of a computer nerd in general, who was super into cars. And so I think you just had a lot of these really talented, smart people who wanted to do things the right way. And so it was, I think we did a lot of things right that were built in principle, that were just, part of the foundation of Rally Sport. But I feel like the success on YouTube was just a combination of people coming together. And
you just had the right people at the right time, and 100%. You probably put a few of these out, and they did really well, and like just roll with it for sure.
So Randy's posted a couple pictures in the chat. And the most popular video to this day for a Rally Sport Direct's YouTube channel is from 14 years ago. So this is a dividend that keeps on giving.
Yeah, no, totally. And that'll keep growing. As long as people are still modifying older Subarus, which it ain't going anywhere anytime soon.
Right. They
yeah.
haven't really duplicated that level of success that you brought them, Rick, way back in the day.
Well, not to poo on Rick here and the rest of the team over there that came up with this concept. So what happened is other companies realized how well this worked, and copied this formula. Okay, but the first place I ever saw it was Rally Sport Direct. At least first place I saw it done right with Subarus. Now, I'm with all due respect to my boy Jeremy Boysen, who used to own Subi Speed. Okay,
they killed it.
One of the he took this concept and took it to another level. He put the right guys in front of cameras. That's where he got he had Yo there for a while, who was also great. Who left a absolutely phenomenal little note for you.
What's his full name, by the way, for the people playing along at home?
Why are you going to make me try to pronounce his actual name?
It's like Protect Yo Katula or something.
Yeah,
that's good
his
enough.
name's
You can Google it.
Yeah, it's Preki Yo Katula. Either way, it's Yo.
It doesn't matter. Awesome.
So Yo was just like the Subaru world was a better place when Rick was on.
Dude, that's
high praise, man.
Yes, and that's saying something because Yo was behind some of the best, let's just say, like marketing Subaru and ever. Okay, Yo, that is huge praise. Either way, so they had Yo, they have Kevin Vo
for a while.
They brought on Foster, who now works for us.
Sure.
And like they put a team together, but a lot of all the framework and the concept that Boysen came up with was all based on you guys' videos. They just narrowed it down, and they did a very, very good job of it.
Yeah, they in fact, we got to the point where, I think we were trying to play catch up. Well, in a very clear way, we were trying to play catch up with them, right? And we were kind of left scratching our heads because we'd had this monumental success, from not even just from the videos, it's from everything, right? And then you have Subi Speed come along, and basically it felt like they just freaking ate our lunch. And we're like, well, now what do we do? And so we were still doing really well, but I'm looking at their videos, and it's so polished and so crisp and so clean. And you have Kevin, who's so well spoken. And, I always justified it to myself. I'm like, well, I could probably out-wrench him any day, but it didn't matter because people want to see what they, want to see. And he was more visually appealing. I don't know what the word is, but I love Kevin.
He's also a good-looking man. Let's just say it.
Man, there's some good-looking dudes over there. I mean, I look at Foster and just wonder what the fuck I'm doing with my life.
Yeah, Foster's like a man's man,
He is, man. God, he's pretty.
His wife or girlfriend's a lucky lady.
So, yeah, I mean, you had a bunch of other companies. Them being the ones that stick out in my brain the most, copying this formula and improving on it, or changing it up and making it work for them. But again, I want to go back. You guys laid the groundwork. You guys even started messing around with, and I think you started doing it at about the time they came onto the scene. With doing like in-house builds. It's like this is a Rally Sport Direct this or that.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever did a very good job with that personally. I feel like that's something we really.
I think you guys were on the cusp of doing something amazing and never finished it, which sucks.
I would agree with that 100%.
Yep.
Now, we are going to talk about that in a second because I was super excited about that, and the rest of us got amped, and then it just turned into vaporware, which sucks.
That VA STI that they built with the livery on the side, I'm looking at the screenshot right now. It's a white car with like a blue livery. That reminds me of those old JDM shop cars, like Mines, for example. Mines Skyline. That is iconic. That is stuck in people's brains for decades. And RSD was so close to doing that. And then, like Dewey said, It went nowhere. Just
Yeah,
disappeared.
well, this was something they were talking about on NASIAC and all sorts of stuff. And they had the right people in the community helping them out. So, I want to talk about the land speed car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. First off, how involved were you in the land speed car? I know where it sits now, but we'll get to that. But I want to know, like, how involved were you in the concept of the land speed car?
Very involved. Me is basically Biggie's brainchild, right? And I don't know if anyone knows Biggie. He's always got all these, crazy ideas.
I don't know Biggie. So who is Biggie? Like, who's Biggie?
So he's, I don't know. He worked at Cobb for a long time.
Okay.
He's just part of the, not a Subaru guy necessarily, but just certainly a car guy, right? Yep. He's no longer with us anymore, unfortunately. But he had this concept because he saw Moto IQ did their land speed car, and they dropped, half a liter and went into this different class. And so, Biggie being Biggie's like knows all these random facts, and he's like, "Well, I'm pretty sure the record for a 1 liter is like only like 120 miles an hour." He's like, "We could do that," So him and myself convinced, the bigwigs like, "Hey, this is what we want to do. We want to go out to the salt and set a land speed record. It's on our backyard. It's kind of something that we can bring in more than just like the hardcore Subaru crowd. We can, kind of get our name out there and do something real again, right?"
Yeah. And something drastically different. Let's be real. At no point did anybody think that somebody was going to take a Subaru and go after a land speed record. Okay.
Right. Super dumb idea. But in theory, on paper, we should have not only been able to like beat the record, but like really beat the record, Yeah,
like annihilate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, now I want you to explain what the concept was, because you just said 1 liter, and obviously Subaru doesn't have a whole lot of 1 liters laying around other than, say, a K car.
Right. Okay. So in land speed racing, you go by, basically, I'll just explain. The class we were in was factory production supercharged 1 liter would have been the class we were in. So that meant that you had to have a factory car, factory production car with all, no added aero, no added nothing. And then, but the engine was unlimited. You could do whatever you wanted. And the engine that was in it had to be the factory block, essentially. Like, if it came with a K series, you have to have a K series in it. But besides that, though, you could do whatever you wanted. And so, we had this idea. It's like, well, could it work? You take 2 cylinders out of a Subaru, and just run it as a 2-cylinder. So you have you basically have 2 rods, 2 pistons, and the stock crank and essentially stock heads, right? And it seems pretty simple. And so that's what we set out to do.
Quick question on the supercharging side. So that means any forced induction, correct?
Correct. Yes, I should have specified.
No, that's not obvious. Supercharging is the word. Turbocharging is a made-up word for a turbo that happens to do supercharge a different way.
Mm-hmm.
That's the nerdy description.
Biggie decides to come up with this idea of we're gonna essentially take out 2 cylinders of an EJ20.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and we tested it. He had a Forester that he had just blown the engine in, a Forester XT, and I can't remember, I think it was a Ringland or Rodnock or something. And so we're like, well, let's test it on this one. So we did, and it worked. In-house it did, at least idling and putting around the yard.
Well, explain, what did you take out the front 2? The
back
2? Did you take out like 2 and 3? Like, what do you take out?
No, 4 we took out, and the reason we did that originally is because I could access them without splitting the block. So I just did it. I basically turned the block upside down. I'm like, hey, I've got access to these rods. Took the end caps off. I think I ended up putting, so I basically where the wrist pins would go, I think I ended up locking them. I just slid something in there temporarily and kind of capped it off with the cap, so it would force the piston at top. No, what did I do? I can't remember. Either way, we figured it out somehow.
Wow.
And so it would clear the rotating assembly, and that the valves wouldn't hit, and we just tested it out. And so once we had the theory was down, we ran it to the bigwigs, and they're like, all right, so we were pretty pumped. The the downside was at this point, I had asked the CEO to make Biggie the director of art or whatever the title was.
Yeah.
And so he had full control over this build and also full control over, a lot of the media that we were doing.
Yep.
And he wanted some funky stuff. Like he wanted it to be produced like a Discovery Channel type show. But you also have to understand, it's just me. I'm the one doing the build. I'm the one doing the shoot. It's me. I did all the editing, the video. We didn't have anybody else to really help. Biggie would help with the fancy graphics sometimes, but that was it. And so I was the first one to say, this isn't going to work. We're not going to do this in time. It's just too much,
Especially if you're trying to produce something like really pretty Discovery Channel style. Like, honestly, at that time, the best thing you could have did is film it like a vlog. But
that's what I said. That's what I said.
It just that time period that would have worked really well.
Super well.
But man, editing at that point would have been hell. Trying to make that work the way that I'm assuming they were trying to put together.
Yeah, it wasn't good, and it ended up. I mean, so there's a lot of drama around that car, and in particular with me, like me and Biggie. Our working relationship was awful. Like we were always at each other's throats, and I know people were coming down on Biggie because he's the project manager. Why isn't this done in time? And there's a lot of poor communication, and I actually ended up almost losing my job over it. Because when we didn't meet the deadline, they basically put the back burner on the project, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to come in and work on it on my free time. I don't care, I'll do it for free.
Yeah, because you wanted to see it work, and honestly, we all wanted to see it work. The community in general, and you still being a major part of the community, wanted to see it work.
Yeah, so bad. I mean, it's like it consumed my life, right? And putting in 14-hour, 16-hour days, basically, trying to make this work and trying to get it done. I didn't care about the videos. I wanted to see this thing run. I didn't care if it blew up. I didn't care, and I was supposed to drive it. And so then once it got put on hold, I said I'll work on it in my free time, and I was basically told, if you touch that car, you're. And I honestly considered. I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know if you're.
So no, without getting too political and messing stuff up, and I don't want to get you in any trouble. At this point, when they told you that, had the company been bought yet or not?
100%, yeah.
Okay, so did this project start before or after the company had been bought?
After.
Okay. That sucks. Because you basically started out having to deal with... When did the company get bought?
I don't remember. I remember, obviously it happening and being a little concerned and all that kind of stuff. But I want to say maybe even as early as 2010. My timing might be off. So don't quote me on that date.
Oh, nobody will quote you on that. Don't.
Yeah. Horrible dates, but around there, maybe 2012. I don't know. Somewhere in there.
So did it get bought and bought again? Or was it just... Yes. Okay. So we had a corporation buy it that you were dealing with, and then it got bought again by the same company that bought Subi Speed.
I think... I'm trying to remember. I think so.
It is the same company that bought Subi Speed for sure that owns it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So, because even... you were dealing with a large corporation style stuff, but I don't think it was quite the insanity that poor company is dealing with now. I mean, they at least let you try to attempt to do this, but they told you were going to get fired if you touch this.
Yeah, that was the old CEO, and we had a love-hate relationship.
It happens.
Yeah, and and that was a time where, and I don't know what the reason.
Nobody likes a visionary. I'm telling you right now, they don't.
So, but I mean, I still believed in the project and, really wanted to see it through. But basically got a really bad taste in my mouth, right, over this car. So I kind of had to disassociate myself from this vehicle. And I was I still working there when because I think on my last day I did a video and I got it started with the IAG engine in it, with
Yeah.
and so that was, because they're like, okay, before you leave, you at least have to fire it up. I'm like, done.
Which is cool.
That's cool.
Super cool. Yeah.
So
and then go ahead.
we have to stay on the topic of the world speed of this car, because I want you're let me just kind of paint the situation. You're on your last day. You don't have to go into too much detail, but I'm sure the corporate bullshit was the biggest reason you decided to leave, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You don't have to go into any further. Corporations, I get it. So
It
corporate
happens.
shenanigans, he's just like, you want to leave, which is fine. What happened to this car after you get the thing started?
So they basically revamped the project under the new video guy.
Yeah.
And, I had to watch from the next door over, and I just try not to care, because I was actually still within the umbrella.
Yeah.
And so I could still go into the shop, and, you see me pop up on videos every once in a while. But I think they ended up taking it to the dyno, and I want to say it ate a valve, if I remember correctly. And then I don't know all the details at this point, because again, I was really just trying not to care
Sure.
anymore. But I think they ended up getting a new video guy and then a new engine, and then they ended up scrapping the project altogether, and it just sat in our front showroom from that point on.
That's a shame.
Okay, well, hold on. Where's that car right now?
In my garage.
Damn right. So how? And if you can't go into too much detail, I understand. How did you end up acquiring said car?
The original owner called me and said, "Hey, I know how much this car means to you. Someone put a bid in on it, because this is when we were, kind of closing down. I think they were closing down the Salt Lake facility, and they were selling off some assets, right? And
Yep.
so that car was one of the ones that had to go. And so he called me, and he's like, I'm like, well, I can't afford it, And he was just like, don't worry about the cost. Like, if you want it, we'll get it figured out. And I talked to my wife, and she's like, you have to buy it.
You'd have to.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little emotional.
Like, this car is. I knew fuck nothing about this car, and honestly, the whole record and whatever, it didn't mean much to me. But your passion for this really showed through, and we all wanted to see you with this car, and all of us kind of knew when you got separated from it that it killed you. Hearing that you own this thing now, and I didn't realize you owned it until we were talking before the show, that you have physical possession of this thing now. You have no idea how great it is to hear that for everybody else, including you. But like the rest of the community who knew about this, dude, we're jumping.
Yeah, I think this is. I mean, I've made some posts on Facebook, but never.
Yep.
I don't know if I've ever said like, "Oh, this is like the old land speaker." A few people are like, "Hey, is that the old land speaker?" I'm like, "Yeah," But yeah, I guess this is my first official public announcement that I physically have that car.
So, are you gonna finish this project? What's up?
I'm not doing racing on the Salt. That's for sure.
What are you gonna do with it?
So my goal, I want to make it into okay. How I justified it to myself is this car brought so much pain and anxiety, and and I'm like, I'm gonna get this thing running. We're gonna take it to a freaking track day, and I'm inviting everybody who had anything to do with this car ever, and we're gonna track it, and we're just gonna have a blast.
Yes.
So
yes. Okay. So we are working on trying to do a Subinats US. There's been lots of talk. I even had a great talk at Boxer Fest with Robert Champion about this.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, shit's shenanigans are afoot. Let me tell you.
You better get that corporate money. That's exactly what we need.
If we pull this off, you have to bring that car.
Okay, where's it at? Or do you know?
We don't. Nothing is finalized. Okay, but I'm gonna throw it out there. It's gonna be within 2 hours of Chicago, and there's only one track that makes any sense to do it within 2 hours of Chicago if we're gonna do a national size event like that, and it's probably going to be Gingerman.
No way.
That would be awesome.
That would turn it into the Tsukuba of the Midwest.
Yeah, it already is, but now it would be sick to see it turn into the Tsukuba of the United States.
Yep. God, all we need is like some cameras. Well, Grid Life already has cameras, but
And let's be real, we 100% know who's going to be running the track side of all that shit.
oh
Because, yeah, so Grid Life's going to run the track side of that shit if this does go down. But with that stated, how could there be a better community story than seeing that thing ripping around the track?
Now, would it be a 1 liter or back to a 2
No,
liter?
it's already. I'm building the engine right now because the 1 liter that was in it, I think when they put it back together, because IAG sent a assembled long block, and
Right.
when they were putting it back together, I think what had happened was the intake valve prior had broken off. Probably some debris got sucked up into the intake manifold and was hanging out in there, and got sucked back down in there and basically scored the cylinder walls pretty good. So I've had I had a buddy of mine reach out and gave me a 257 block and D25 heads, and then the block was so. And then another buddy of mine's like, "Hey, I have Biggie's old Cosworth block. If you want it."
What heads are on it?
Sorry, just the short block.
No, so what heads are you putting on it?
D25 single AVCS.
You let me know. I'm gonna dig around in some of my old shit. I just want to donate something to this.
Dude, that would be awesome. I've never asked for it. I hate asking.
No, I know you do, but I want to look around in some of my old shit to see if I have any cool GC shit I can send for this. I just want to be a part of it.
That would be so pumped. Yeah, and so, but yeah, luckily the Cosworth block. So I'm taking inspiration. Dude, you're like one of my heroes. And so I listened to.
Cry. You can't say that to me, dude.
I did.
I don't think you and I are allowed to be like in the same area because like it's gonna get real weird. Okay.
I think it would. I think it would be a great time.
Romance, man.
Dude, I so want to help with this though. Seriously, like if I guarantee I got some shit left over that would at least help. I'm gonna go digging around seriously. Like after I quit tonight, I'm gonna see what random GC shit I got laying around to hook you up with. I had a set of taillights, JDM taillights I would have hooked you up with, but I sold them.
That's all right.
I got other shit. I'm gonna go digging. We're gonna make a track sled out of this with a bunch of leftovers. I think I might have some cams for you.
Dude, yeah, that would be awesome.
I think I got some shit. So let me dig around. Whatever, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Man's got toys, got presents.
But I was gonna say, so the rods. So IAG was nice enough to send the spare rods. So I have I have 4 long rods, and then I've got a 2.0 crank out of my wife's WRX. And
are we building a D-stroker?
Hell yeah, bro!
Oh my god! I love everything.
Dewey's microphone is clipping. He's yelling right now. I can hear him from here.
D-stroker, buddy. I am so.
Yeah, you convinced me.
Oh man, this is gonna be so good. Yeah, what Randy said is actually seriously like, get us a list of some sort of random shit you're looking to put this together, and just between Randy and I and random shit I got left over from Boogie and some crap I got back in Chicago and whatever, I'm sure we can come up with some stuff to help you get this thing together.
Okay,
yeah. The community needs to give back to you for what you've given to the community. That is the way I see this.
I was going to say, this is some big community energy right now. Let's get this car on the road.
I love this. I love this so much. I'm pretty sure if we find a way to see if Mr. D. Alex Butler can help us out, I'm sure the Track Subies community might be able to come up with some goodies too. And we just want to see it. We all want to see it run. We want to see you do something with this car. Okay, we want to see it. So,
dude, I'm pumped. I am so pumped. Like I'm like almost like at a loss for words.
Yeah, Dude, I'm
Oh,
telling you,
yeah.
man, like if that's what we can give back, that would be sick. That I'm dude, I would sleep so good that night. I'd sleep so good. Like my karma would be on another level. So yeah, let's see what we can sort it out. Yeah, D's like run it. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, we will tap the power of the community to get that thing together.
And
The only thing
luckily,
we ask is we wanna see progress. You know what I mean? Like let's
right.
see it. You know, even if you got to start I don't know if you've got your own YouTube channel or whatever, but maybe pop one of those up.
Yeah, I've thought about it. My wife is trying to convince me to do videos and stuff. So yeah, maybe I should.
So yeah,
Very
I
nice.
would, dude.
Supportive wife. A plus.
Yeah, yeah, dude, like take a look at what Vin Tra's doing.
Who is
Vin's
that?
been Vin. He used to work for Hoonigan,
Mm.
and he
Yeah.
like split off, and he's kind of got his own YouTube channel going. Like I love his current shit. It's really good.
Dude, you know who you turned me on to that I have just been like
Who's
loving
that?
so Jackie Dean. His
Oh yeah,
personality.
yep. Jackie is a great guy. He's a giant asshole, but I love him. But Jackie is great. Like Jackie's great, and he's really a real pain in the ass to compete against directly. But that's what
Yeah.
makes him great.
He's like season 1 final boss, and then when like season 2 and 3 those bosses get harder, you like form an uneasy alliance with season 1. That's what's
Yeah,
happening with Jackie.
that is
and Dewey
exactly
right
what's
now.
happening. Like Jackie Dang and I have kind of an uneasy, strange alliance.
That's funny. Yeah, his at least his videos they're entertaining to watch.
Yeah, and he's doing some God's work. Like,
Yep.
and I don't know if you saw him at the latest Grid Life ripping around with his AE86. He put on a hell of a show at Lime Rock. He ended up winning one of the B races, and he was literally ass out the whole time. It was super
Nice.
fun to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude can drive.
And that car
Yep.
was built by a good friend of Dewey's, Chach, at
Chacha,
Six Star Motorsports.
Yep.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
Yeah,
man, that
Six
thing
Star
is
is
a work
actually
of
doing
art.
pretty much all of their labor now. So like a lot of the super
Yeah.
stuff and stuff they pump out, Six Star does all of that.
Six Star's had a lot of nicknames over the years, but I'm going to start a new one: Superstar Motorsports.
You can
Superstar.
stop that. I don't need to hear that shit with the shit that I'm dealing with right now. Don't do it.
Well, for those of you playing along at home, Dewey just was mathematically eliminated from the championship this past event.
Why are you punching me in the yeah, we talked last week about this, and Alan Patton, all he had to do, well, if he set a record at this track, it was pretty much mathematically done. And he went there and won, set a record, and the championship is over now. So we're mathematically shit on for the season. So the best we can do is second place, which we still got a pretty good shot at, but that sucks. Did I tell you we found out what happened to Boogie too?
No, what happened?
Well, Dylan just posted a picture, but long story short, if you look at the exhaust side cam gear, you'll notice it's missing a bunch of those little nuts or
Yes.
bolts that hold the cam gear where they came out. And
That's terrifying.
yeah, the belt is absolutely shredded. And
You had adjustable cam gears, and you decided the bolts just couldn't hold the pressure, and they let go.
We're thinking it's a vibration thing because they were Loctited too.
Wow.
So,
Scary.
yeah, which sucks. But a lot of people were really worried it was our tensioner because we did have a version 1 and a version 2 tensioner. It was not our tensioner. The tensioner is totally fine. Our
That's
tensioner
good.
did not fail. Okay. It is not the problem like the original ones that we swapped out with everybody and recalled. No, it's not the tensioner.
Hey, so dumb question. Like,
Sure.
could you and the full faith and credit of IAG go to a twin timing belt setup, or is that just out in space in terms of difficulty?
It's kind of out in space as far as like difficulty would be. We'd have to build a lot of crazy shit to make that.
That sucks. Okay.
Yeah, that's probably not happening.
All right.
So
that's impressive destruction right there. I'm looking at.
That happened buried in 6th gear at like 150 plus mile an hour. The crunch happened.
Yep. That's a hateful failure.
The beauty of that is there was enough belt left almost to a complete stop to keep turning my oil pump from my dry sump. So I'm pretty sure the bottom end is still okay.
including the pistons, or would those get replaced from touching valves?
We're gonna see, but I bet you the pistons are even fine or usable.
Wow.
So
well, Dylan says
Dylan's like, nah, we're gonna chuck it. So
okay.
We're probably gonna put new pistons in anyway, just because we work with JE. JE is a beautiful sponsor of our program, and
This is what happens when you're at the pointy end of the stick. You get failures that other people don't have. So
yeah, we break shit so you don't have to. So Rick doesn't have to break shit in his newly going together de-stroker that we're gonna find cool parts for.
Now, we've been talking a lot about community and that interface with the company. So Rick, you did God's work with Rally Sport Direct while you were there. This is more a question for Dewey, but do you think this should be posted? Let's say a video saying, hey, this is a failure. This is why it's not going to happen to you. So on and so forth.
Well,
what do you think?
We're posting stuff up about this.
Okay.
Now,
where?
Well, it's we as in Dylan. We haven't made a whole breakdown. I think I might write something out this weekend so people aren't freaking out. We are trying to. We have a few different ideas on how we're going to help this, but we don't. I really hate presenting a problem without a solution, and right now we don't have a definitive solution. What we are going to be doing is, because we have the capabilities to do this. This is the community has done some insane things, and now we have the ability to do all sorts of wacky shit. We're going to be testing some stuff on our engine dyno when we put this thing back together. We're going to put it back together, probably do a break-in on the engine dyno, and while we're doing that, we're going to play around with some stuff using our new RCM/IAG cam gears and these, and we're going to see if maybe belt deflection at a particular RPM or whatever, and see if we can come up with something. We have a problem presented right now, but we have to figure out what we can do to fix it. Personally, if we wouldn't have had the adjustable cam gear on there, I don't think it would have failed. And if you have I think the reason we haven't seen failures like this before is because most of these adjustable cam gears are on drag cars. They're not on time attack cars. And when you go to something like Road America, you hit almost 170 mile an hour 3 times in one lap. It's going to see some vibration.
Yeah. Versus 9 seconds on the quarter mile.
So yeah. So that's a good point. So if you're making a full track slut out of this what used to be a land speed car, are we going to do any aero updates to that?
Maybe eventually. Right now,
keep it simple. All grip.
Yeah, keep it. Yeah, because originally I had already started acquiring stuff to build the harness, and so. But
is it totally gutted?
Oh, 100%.
Does it have a dash or anything in it?
Kind of.
How hard would it be to put B pillar forward back in?
To put what?
B pillar forward.
There's a B pillar forward.
It's the interior.
Interior.
Sorry, hearing that.
Sorry. The B pillar forward, like the interior. Being able to cut around the cage and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, no, you could do that. You could do that.
I'm just throwing this out here. What you have sitting there is the absolute perfect building blocks for a street class car. I hate to put bad ideas in your head, but man, if there was ever a good idea, that's it.
Well, no, I know my guys are just ideas, but the thing is, because I thought, man, it'd be cool to kind of get into a little bit of competition and stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm getting way ahead of myself. And first thing,
let's get into the track and have some fun and see where it sits.
Yeah, and let's shake it down. Who knows? It could be a complete failure. However, I'm thinking, it's I don't know. We'll see what the future holds for it. But right now it's just one step. I probably work on it, a couple hours a week. So I'm just in bearings last week, and so I'll also so I can keep you guys up to date.
I hope so, man. Please, keep posting shit about it because we all love it. post it up in the insiders group and in tracksuit too. Those guys are all going to eat that shit up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, man, what more do I want to drive you nuts about? Oh, we got to do. Do you remember your old member number that you ended up tossing off to somebody else?
No. Oh, the
No?
old. No. Absolutely.
Okay, so what is your member number? What is the lowest member number that you have? That is like yours.
Let's see. I'll have to log in.
This is going to be good.
He's checking live.
Yeah.
Yeah. We gotta. I don't even remember where do I go.
Okay. Hey, we need to put a if producer Jordan's in here. Producer Jordan, do a quick poll for like 2 minutes. Who do you think has a lower member number on Nasiak?
Well, what's yours? What's your member number?
Well, let's not throw it out there yet.
Okay.
Let's see what you go find it.
User control panel.
I want to get my exact member number, so I'm digging it up.
I don't even know where to find it.
I usually go to something that I have started.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So like my easiest place for me is I go to Midwest Subaru Owners Club and I go to the Conk thread.
Gotcha. Let's see here. Oh, yep, there it is.
Okay, hold on.
It's a lot higher than I was thinking it would be.
You're still pretty OG, my dude. All right, there it is. Everybody vote.
Who has the lower Nasiak number? I'm voting for Dewey. Hell yeah.
My guy.
Yeah, I think I'd go Dewey as well, probably. My old name was the coolest name. It was Rolling on Hubs, because that was still when I had my Turbo Civic and it had hubcaps on it.
Nice.
Steelies and hubs.
They're 12s, but I keep them clean.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's pretty much it. We got 9 for me, 3 for Rick. I don't know. We're gonna see. All right, here we go. Here we go. My member number is 37078.
Yeah, you got me beat. I'm 43128.
Oh, that's close.
For a second member number? That is incredible. I was thinking you were going to come back like 100,000.
Oh yeah, no, because I think I gave it up pretty early on. It was I don't remember what year, but it was a while ago.
Oh, Mr. Alex Butler has me beat.
Oh, what's his at?
34.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. So I came in with the glut. You were probably the tail end of the 0203 glut that came through with that like first big boost when people were getting bug eyes. That was like within your second member. So your first member number had to have been real low.
Yeah, I think it was pretty low. I mean, I would have no idea what it was, but I joined pretty early on.
Yeah. I lurked for a decent amount of time because I was an iClub guy before, and I like stayed on iClub, and then I realized iClub was nothing but links to Nasiak.
Yeah.
Well, we're all dumb.
Man, I miss Nasiak.
I do too. I miss the way information was organized on Nasiak. That you could go search for information. Old threads are still really good. Like I gotta be real, I still send people to Unabomber's Manifesto on Nasiak. Yeah. Just like if you're new and you want to start learning about stuff, go to Nasiak, find Unabomber's Manifesto, start reading.
For people who are not 100% Subaru people, this is a how-to guide for many common questions from, gosh, it must have been written 15 years ago at this point.
At least.
It's not about the guy that lived in the woods and sent mail to people that exploded.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, I have a question. When you were talking to your Subaru friends, what did you call Nasiak? Did you call it Nasiak or did you call it something else?
I mean, we called it. Yeah, we called it Nasty Socks, for a while, but it was Nasiak for the most part for us. We had Midwest Socks, which is what we. Yeah, I don't know why. What'd you guys call it?
Probably something I shouldn't say on here, but then just the sock.
Okay. Oh, really? So it was something else sock?
No, just like, oh yeah, like if I'm talking to my friends who are well aware of what it is,
Sure.
like yeah, I made a post on the sock about it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's on the sock. That makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It was so much easier when everybody was on the same sheet of music. Okay. So like if you'd go to a car meet and you were new, it didn't matter where you were in the country. Okay. You'd go to a Subaru meet because at this point, Subaru meets, past like 0203, Subaru meets were kind of their own thing. Like, don't get me wrong, you'd meet up at parking lots with other cars or whatever, but the Subaru guys would all crowd in together. It'd always be like the 3 or 4 bug eyes or whatever. But if you got a new person there, and they came in, they're like, they started chat. You could tell they didn't know what they were doing. The first thing somebody would tell you to do is go to Nasiak and make an account.
yep,
That's where everything is. These days, there isn't that central hub. Okay, it's all over the place, and it's really bad. With most of the information is on all the discussion is on Facebook, but there's 1,000 different answers to what the right group is.
hmm
And it almost all of them are wrong. Um, and it made it hard to have this like really central hub of information. And then you have like Instagram, where a lot of people for some reason seem to get their info, and there is no discussion on it. So they see this like perfect glimpse of whatever's going on with no actual talk about how to get there. And
Yeah.
that really sucks. The other thing that I never really understood is on Nasiak, you would try really hard to make coherent sentences and sound intelligent. You know what I mean? And you would try to back it up with as much fact as you could, or you would go find other threads of where you got this information. You would really try hard. You know what I mean? And what's crazy is it was not even attached to your real name. But
right,
on
yeah,
Facebook, it is attached to your real name. This is your actual real name. Yet people are they'll just barf stupid,
bring back
and
shame.
it's so crazy. Yeah, and it is your real actual name attached to it. I've never understood that, how people can just be completely belligerent. And why everybody's manners were so much better on Nasiak than they are on like a Facebook group. It's insanity to me.
Well, and I feel like I want to say it was because of you would just get the last week or whatever into oblivion. Like when a post was clearly stupid, everyone called you stupid,
You would get
right?
annihilated. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean we've all been there, right?
Yep.
Everyone has to kind of trial by fire, and you learned really quick. Like, hey, this is where the information is. This is where I can learn. I have to play by their rules because the rules were kind of unspoken, but you figured out pretty quick what was okay and what wasn't okay, and then you felt like you became part of the club once you kind of been in there for a minute, and then it was almost like an honor to what the last week somebody else,
Yeah.
you know.
Did I ever tell you one of the big things that got me over to Nasiak? Have I ever told this story, Warranty? Warranty left? Fine, I didn't want to hang out with you, Warranty.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
I've
raising
never
his
heard this
hand.
story.
Okay, well I'm gonna end up telling this story because this story's kind of interesting. Have I
Oh
ever
my
told
gosh,
that?
I went and went to unmute and I hung up the phone. Holy
What are you
cow.
doing, my guy? So either way, have
Unbelievable.
I ever told the story about kind of one of the big things that brought me over to Nasiak?
No, I don't
Okay, so
remember.
I'm on iClub. I'm that guy, and these guys are all talking about going to Tail of the Dragon. I'm like, okay, I got to go find this road. It's in the state that I'm stationed in. I got to go find this, right? I finally make my way out to Tail of the Dragon, and I'm out there, and I see these guys taking pictures. So I'm like, dude, I'm going to try to show off, and I'm going to like attempt to drift this corner or whatever, right? And I'm just throwing this car in there. And I don't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden, a thread comes up. Somebody took a picture of my car completely on the wrong side of the road. And if you guys ever know anything about Tail of the Dragon or, just canyon running and whatever you may be doing, you don't cross the center line. Okay, you don't do this. I was young. I was very stupid. I was very uninformed. And and I did a lot of really dumb things. And so it was basically a thread just shredding me from being over the center line. The off topic in Nasiak is brutal. I ended up going onto this thread and like writing a whole apology. Like they semi forgave me for it, but this was after they had already ran my license. I got hate mail for like a year.
Wow.
I deserved it. Like looking back now, especially at the age I'm at, and I can see things a little clearer. If I would do the same thing, I would do the same thing. It was a different time, and I deserved it. It was bad, and I tell you what, I never did it again. And I straight up could have killed somebody. I could have killed somebody. But that was me getting shredded on Nasiak was one of the biggest reasons I finally went over there and started like it, because I had to keep up on that thread all the time. I was like hanging out in Nasiak just because I had to be there. And that's what ended up really getting me to go over more than anything.
That's interesting.
Yep. Public humiliation. I deserved it. Time. Yeah. So I was a naughty boy before I was anything. Somehow became the community guy.
Yeah, now look what you've become.
Yeah, see, so sometimes tough love's where it's at.
I agree, 100%. It's
gotta happen sometimes. So,
and you're like, go ahead.
What are your plans for the future? You're working at the hot rod shop. That sounds like it's working out really good for you. We're trying to get the Subaru back together. You got any big long-term plans? You gonna stay with a hot rod shop? You gonna start a YouTube channel and blow the world up? What's your plans, man?
Dude, I pretty much keep quiet to myself. I don't know. I'm a big introvert, so like even though when people meet me, they don't ever believe it. But I'm like, I'd much rather just be like hanging out at home. I've got a wife and 2 kids now, and so I don't really have any plans necessarily. My thing is like if I always feel like I just need like input. Like my brain just always I need to be learning something. I need to be doing something. And as long as I'm doing that, I'm super happy. Like I need to be fixing things. And so as long as I've got something, a project, something, I'm so content. But yeah, no real big plans.
You sound like if you were to do my job, you would hate your life. Because like my daily is I'm a sales guy. Okay. Just when it really boils down to what my main job is here at IAG, it's I sell parts. I take phone calls, I sell parts, I answer questions. Don't get me wrong, but it sounds like you were more of a hands-on dude, and like that would probably drive you nuts.
I used to love doing customer service. I actually even at one point I was the customer service manager at Rally Sport when we got big.
Sure.
And but yeah, I think now like I went, when I was first doing videos, I'm like, oh cool, being on video is cool. And then at one point I tried to say, can I just work on the cars and like someone else be the face and just let me, work on it. And I can talk, I can still be on video, but I didn't ever want to be the main guy, and then going to like Subi events and stuff they'd hand me the microphone and I'd like shrink in myself. I'm like, this is hell right now.
That can be. I get it. Yeah, I don't mind standing in front of people and talking for sure, but man, I get that. And always being the guy that has a microphone shoved in their face, that can be taxing, man. Especially if it's not like really your true love. Some people are like super content in that. Like it even drives me up the wall at times. So I totally get that. Yeah. So, and yeah, again, I get that. That was just like, I'm like, well, Rick ain't doing a whole lot. Maybe I'll put a good word in for him, but if if your spot's right, dude.
Yeah. And I like where I'm at, I think if there was like a local, I would obviously prefer to be in, doing we do performance stuff here. I sent you a picture earlier of that. We have like 1,000 horsepower Bel Air. We're doing cool stuff. And I like to, now we're doing, we're putting a hardwire PDM in a car. We're doing a Haltech in one, so I get to scratch that itch of like, I like wiring and I like setting things out. I like configuring the PDM. I like figuring stuff out, so it definitely scratches an itch that I have, working here. And so whether I'm working on I guess I wouldn't care if I'm working on like a sailboat or a car. I just, I'm diehard Subarus. I mean, I drive one every day. My wife has one,
Yeah, I don't think that's ever going away.
No, I love them.
Yep. Why I still don't even understand it, but like there's
something about them.
There's just something about it and something about the community, and I ain't going nowhere.
So listening to your podcast, one thing, warranty, I will say this, me and you are like kindred spirits in that I love OEM and OEM plus.
Oh, and thank you. Man after my own heart. Let's go.
Yes. I'm building a race car, but that's like how I feel about it is like, if you want a race car, build a race car, right?
Right.
But if you want a good street car, like buy an STI and put cool STI stuff on it. I had a BRZ and it was like a mix of like TRD and STI parts on it.
This man is teeing up a segue.
Producer Jordan says, "Nah, we got to turbo your BRZ." No,
we don't need to turbo your BRZ, but I do think that some minor. Oh man, you should feel the suspension. Our new suspension is phenomenal.
Well, I've got a friend.
We'll get into that another time, but
yeah,
we got to talk about something kind of big, and I'm super stoked that Rick's here to talk about it. All right,
okay.
Let me lay it out. Johnny Lieberman of Motor Trend, who is a pretty damn connected individual within the automotive industry, okay, has stated very recently, we're talking in the past couple of weeks, okay, that Subaru still plans on bringing an STI out.
Big.
Yeah, okay.
So the rumors are it'll be based on the current WRX 2.4 liter. They're talking, proper manual transmission, the STI 6-speed, just as it always has been. Right. They're talking about 400 wheel. Or 400
no, hold
crank.
On. 400 crank horsepower. Okay.
400 crank, sorry, my bad. Okay. 400 crank horsepower. Do you believe this is all bullshit? Okay, hey, before we even go any further into that, Producer Jordan, let's throw up a poll. Is the new STI vaporware?
No, I mean, if he's got rumors from credible sources, he's a journalist. I think it's real. The question is, how is it going to do? And that's always the unknown.
I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think it's a thing. I don't think it's a thing. I would love for it to be a thing. I would love even more so for them to take it and base it off the Crosstrek hatch body.
Dude, yeah.
Dude, how incredible would that be? Like, bring the hatch back. All right, make it a rally slut again, but it would go directly in competition against the GR Corolla.
They should make a Gravel Express.
Allow that to happen.
I'm actually more hyped for a Gravel Express now that I've realized that was an actual car that Subaru sold. I thought it was just something you came up with.
No, it was called the Gravel Express, and it was amazing. And it was basically an Outback Sport with a freaking EJ20G like he had in his car. That's how they sold it.
Right, and back then, that was a small car. Nowadays, their smallest car is a Crosstrek. Oh man, I would love a Gravel Express Crosstrek.
I want a Rick. Tell me you wouldn't be in line to get a Gravel Express. They decided to stick the WRX, essentially the current WRX drivetrain, in a Crosstrek and sell it like that.
Dude, 100%.
Dude, lined up. All of us old Subaru sluts would be there, dude. We would be there.
Yeah, it would be an amazing daily because my car's a hatchback, my wife's car's a hatchback. We drive, it's just so convenient. Yep. And then you put and that's the thing is the FA24, it just feels like a good engine. Like the power delivery is great. Everything about it is great. It'd be a good combo.
I don't think that's enough. That if you just put the same old 6-speed in it, same old nice 100%. Triple differentials.
That's all it needs to be. It did that. Dude, they maybe put a premium wheel tire package on it, put a little bull bar on the front, and put the wheel on the back, hanging off the back like the tailgate wheel.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking. I was shifting gears already to the new STI. So Gravel Express. I bet that would be a cable operated 6-speed because they would just put yield.
Gravel Express would be a WRX and a Crosstrek, and that would be the Gravel Express, and I would be there. The new STI is going to need to be a pretty significant upgrade over the WRX.
Correct. Now, the WRX has lost the plot because we have the TR and the TS, both of which are good cars, but they're not an STI. STI is a weird car. So I don't think that adding horsepower and selling the same car again is really going to do anything. People will never be satisfied with horsepower numbers. And it's more expensive for the manufacturer to prove to themselves that they can actually sell a 400 horsepower car versus a 300 horsepower car. If you sell a 300 horsepower car, people are going to get mad. If you sell a 400 horsepower car with no other changes, people are still going to get mad. I don't see how this is going to be a success for them like it used to be.
So no matter what, if they do sell the STI, the rumor is it will have the old STI trim.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's going to be 24 miles to the gallon.
But you're going to have 3 diffs. Okay.
Yeah. It's going to come with 19-inch wheels, so good luck sliding that thing anywhere.
It's going to come with 19 or 20. It's probably going to come with 20-inch wheels, let's be real.
God, that is too much.
But the chassis is huge. It's going to need 20-inch wheels to even look right.
I understand.
400 horsepower with that chassis the size it is, I'm not going to be too sad about it. It's
based on the Outback chassis, and that's
everything's based off the same chassis now. All of it is the same chassis now.
Platform. That is so different from a 2004 STI. Now, granted, people have gotten larger since then, both height and width. But man, the VBWX is a massive vehicle. I just don't see it.
It's a big car. I enjoy driving it. I really like ours. I really like it.
Okay, but does it have that same kind of nice feel from the old STIs?
Well, let's put it this way. Does it have the nice feel of the old STI? No. Is it a massive step up from the old WRX? Yes.
Okay, that's fair, but the old WRX, it's a Honda Civic, okay? The VA WRX
That's what it was. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. Rick, fucking chime in on this.
Okay, yeah. Let me chime in. Have either of you driven the S209?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, that's I feel like a step in the right direction towards like the 05 STI. It's from, I guess you could call it from the factory, but like a from the factory.
Man, I love that you just brought up the 05 STI too, because let's be real, it's the best one.
Best, hands down. So like if they did it like that, right? And they really kind of like hyper focused on their target audience, being like, okay, so the people who buy the WRX are going to buy the WRX, and that's fine. But the STI is, basically a hardcore enthusiast who wants something that may not even be the fastest thing out there, but they want that feedback, they want the feel, they want that driving experience back, like the BRZ gives you.
Yes. I totally, dude, you are preaching this right now, especially if you're going to sell it with a manual. You're no longer trying to sell it based off of 0 to 60 time.
Correct.
You don't have to sell that car based off of 0 to 60 time anymore. What they need to sell that car on is the experience of driving that car. And Rick is killing it right now. And 400 horsepower would be plenty to make that a very entertaining car.
Yeah, you market it as such.
Yep.
What everybody's going to do is one of two things. One, complain that it's not faster, or two, slam it like they've done on all the prior STIs and WRXs, and then wonder why it handles like a bag of shit.
Stance is dead.
Stance is dead, yes, but there are still a lot of... I'm going to talk about BRZ kids for a second. Kevin Vo is doing the Lord's work saying, these are the mods you should do, these are the nice looking mods, whatever. But the majority of kids are getting information from, who knows, on Instagram and Reddit, and it's the same 3 things over and over again. 5W30 oil, shitty rep wheels, and cheap coilovers. The same thing that we've been doing for 10 plus years.
It's been more than that.
Doesn't make the car better. It makes it worse.
That same shit's been... If they put shitty rep wheels and some crap coilovers, the car still won't be shit. No, it just won't be.
Agree.
Unfortunately, like, you can do that to an 05 STI and the car is still okay. They're going to learn. Okay. The community's been dealing with this not just 10 years. The community's been dealing with this for 25 years.
Okay.
It's been happening ever since this song's as old as time, my guy. Let's just get all Disney about it.
So S209. All right, that was a tuner car from the factory. Let's look past the price because it was a limited edition price.
I don't think I love what the S209 was, but honestly, that's not base model anymore. Like, we need to look at base model STI. And they really need to capture the essence of what the early STIs were. That's my opinion.
The reason that these cars are TS, which stands for tuned by STI, versus the full-on bona fide STI badge is because it doesn't rise to that level of performance.
Yes.
And I've heard that from people inside the company. So what is that magic to an STI? It needs to be an out-of-the-box killer. It does not need 1 million horsepower. It just needs to be really good at driving urgently on the street. It's not even a track car.
No,
20-inch wheels, that's a track car.
It needs to be able to point A to point B rapidly, but give you an experience, a very organic and kind of I'm trying to find the right word for this.
While you're finding that right word, the problem is rally is dead. Rally is not really relevant anymore. Rally cross was kind of cool for a while, but that's not real cars. That's just spaceships.
At least in the U.S.
At least in the U.S.
Yeah, the WRC is still killing it. Okay.
Yes.
Just
those
not
cars
in the US.
are rocket ships.
Rally in the U.S. it ain't doing real good. Let's be real. The only thing, it's on life support, and it's entirely due to Subaru pumping money into it.
Right. That's a lot of money. And they didn't build another rally cross car. They built a time attack car most recently. And the Huckster was a Gymkhana car, which is not rally either. It's more of its own thing. So, I don't know.
If there's something, I don't know, zen about bombing down a back road, dude. I'm telling you.
It is. It is.
The STI just needs to make you feel like a hero when you drive it.
Yes.
It really does. And not only that, it's a hero car that you can throw your kids in the back.
Yes. You're never going to get away from that. It's
exist.
a one car. It's a one car hero, right?
Yeah. No, I really think
2 car seats in the back.
I think I think it could kill it. I really do. I
really
think it could kill it if they nail it. If they nail it, and I this new FA24 is looking phenomenal. You know, from everything we're seeing on our end, it's phenomenal. You know, there's going to be a decent aftermarket waiting for it if it does show up. I think it could be killer.
Hopefully they have a bigger aftermarket than what's happened with the BRZs, because like that's just been very little in my opinion. Varus is... Okay, well I'm going to keep yelling while he does that. So, Rick, knowing what you know about WRXs and how they stepped up to STIs, do you think taking a current VB WRX, let's say even a high trim level like a TR or a TS, just putting an STI 6-speed in it with 3 differentials and DCCD, and then cranking up the boost is enough to make that a special car?
Well, yes, let me explain. Because that is the essence of the original, Impreza to WRX to STI lineup. And so I think going back to like the spirit of what the STI was back from, the original version, where from the production line, you had an Impreza, the car that everybody could buy. Then you have the WRX, which a little bit hopped up, and then you got the STI, and you're like, oh, like this is kind of like a no compromise, no frills type car. I'm with you though. The logic side of me says it won't sell, but I want to believe in it so bad that it's one of those things where I would say yes, that constitutes an STI version, and I would hope that would do well. I hope that it would sell. But I'm with you. I think this dream we have in our heads of getting an 05 STI is just it's gone, unfortunately.
I tell you what, if they nail the 05 STI again, I think it will sell. And the reason I think it'll sell, go look at the price of an 05 STI right now.
Yes. There's a lane here. So their chief competition is a GR Corolla, which maybe still has markups on it, but more importantly, replacing that engine is over $30,000 if it blows on you, which is not okay. So right there, Subaru could sell just a reasonable go-fast car.
They don't got to do much. And not only that, it's the GR Corolla, even though it's a Corolla, it's not great for 4 people. I don't fit in the back seat of that thing for shit. Putting kids back there, that's not a long-term solution. Like it would be its main competition, but it isn't its main competition. It'd be a different animal.
Subaru has done a really good job of everything is good enough without it turning into just a plastic nightmare.
But you pointed out something a few seconds ago about the FT86, and the new BRZ, and the aftermarket being a little stale,
a little bit light. Yeah,
a little bit light, and I agree with that, and I have some theories on that. So I when I was at Boxer Fest this weekend, which was honestly, I'm surprised how well that turned out, because I thought it was going to rain, but it did really well. I got to chat with Race Comp Engineering. Okay. Race Comp Engineering, if you guys don't know, is a pretty cool company that they work with KW and kind of do like a revised KW V3 suspension that they sell. It works out. Like RCs are pretty solid suspension, especially for the money. But we were chatting about numbers and how things were going and everything else. 80% of their business right now is new BRZ.
that's what I'm talking about. Finally, some good news.
80%. Now, this is where I'm going to even poo-poo on us at IAG for this. And I've been screaming it for years, and I may even catch shit for what I'm going to say, but we have kind of turned our back on like a particular market, because we were so geared up in like 2015 to 2018 of all these guys doing big power, drag builds, 1320 video style things. And they were spending absurd amounts of money on that shit. And don't get me wrong, and it's even to this day still has its place. There's still guys trying to build these big street builds, and that's cool. That's your thing. But we have kind of turned a blind eye to I want to do minor mods and go to the track. And there's a lot of these companies that are actually scooping up really hard. And you go to any like Grid Life event, look at it, especially if it's a non-festival. So you're seeing all the HPDE guys out there. Look at how many of them are new BRZs. There's a fucking ton of them.
No, it's everybody. It's everybody.
It is by far the most represented car out there. Why are we not building shit for those people? We're getting there. Okay. Don't get me wrong. But that is a neglected market, because they're like, well, you can't make 800 horsepower with it. Nobody fucking cares. Yep. And the same thing is going with this STI. If we do get a new STI, I really, really hope that it doesn't turn in. There's going to be a horsepower war. There's going to be like 20 people vowing to be the first person to get into the 8s or whatever they decide to be the big thing, and there's going to be some fast street cars, but there's also, there now more than there definitely was then, there's going to be a ton of people taking them to the track. And I really, really hope we lean into that. Okay. Especially since if they do make an STI, it is going to be a fucking weapon for street class. It'll be a turnkey fucking weapon.
Yes. Better see that car out there too, because we don't see a ton of VB WRXs. We
don't, because they don't have any. You'd have to do an STI 6-speed swap, get a bunch of other stuff, and the FA24s, we're still learning about it. I think it'd still be good right out of the gate, but it needs a little more aftermarket. But there was a time when the Subaru community started. I think we are starting to come full circle. Where, like, a 400 horsepower car was insanity. A lot of people were doing basic bolt-ons and OEM Plus for a very long time. And then the kind of the JDM thing, Right. And then big power came later on down the road. The big thing that was limiting us for the longest time was tuning capability, and our blocks wouldn't hold shit. But the community thrived during that time no matter what. And I really would... I hope we can see maybe a return to some of that, of worrying about the small stuff, or maybe trying to make a more balanced vehicle. Yes. And maybe more of those OEM Plus builds. I think it would be sick.
I think we do. From reading a lot of Reddit and to a lesser extent the Facebook groups, I think we see a lot of people looking for OEM Plus that just have maybe some outdated information given to them.
Yep.
But
or they're getting their info just totally from the wrong source.
Right. Yeah, it is more fragmented, like you two were saying earlier in the podcast. It's really hard to go find that one source of truth that everybody believes, because forums aren't the magnet that they used to be, and certainly the pull of Facebook groups is not nearly as organized.
That you don't really know who's giving you that info.
Right. God, I've seen so much bad information repeated on both Facebook and Reddit. Just 5W30 oil over and over and over again. Oh my gosh. It is not going to help you.
Rick, how's life?
Dude, life is good. Life is really good. I was gonna say, so somebody commented, they said 200 horsepower is plenty to get started partying on the track, and I agree 100%. He's like, see Miata. I was gonna say, at one point before I got married, I had an 05 STI, an NA Miata, and a 13 BRZ, and like, dude, freaking Miata, man, that was one of my favorite cars to drive.
Oh, if I could fit in one, I'd probably own one.
Yeah, I would love to see kind of a return back to, small cars are fun. Low horsepower is fun.
I think there is already a return to that. It's getting ignored. Okay.
Yeah.
There is a huge group of people who take their borderline stock BRZs and FT86s to the track, or GR86s to the track, with nothing but wheels, tires, brakes, and like an exhaust. That's it. That's all they have done to the car. And it's they run like tanks. They do, they drive their car to the track. They rip the thing all weekend. They take it home. They have a great time with it. And then they talk about, personal best lap times and all sorts of shit. And I think it's fantastic. And I think that market is getting ignored. I think we're some of the worst of ignoring that market.
Yep, I agree. I'll tell you what, another market that I think is underappreciated. No, I shouldn't call it a market. I should just say a buyer. Okay. 2.5 RS. The new Impreza 2.5 RS is way underappreciated in my personal opinion.
I'm sorry, it sucks.
Really?
That is a base. That is a cross-track without jacked up suspension, and they put some weird colors on the inside. That is a spit in the face of any sort of enthusiast. And the fact they even did a launch party for it, they should be fucking ashamed. I said it.
Really? Have you driven one?
No, I have not. But with that stated, it is the exact same engine that's in the Crosstrek.
It's not about power. How do you know? We're just talking about BRZs.
I'm just telling you, it has to make more power than a Crosstrek. A Crosstrek does not have enough power to be entertaining.
That's true. But
okay, so
slow car fast.
No, that's basic car fast. Okay,
He dropped out. I can't hear you anymore. Earth to Dewey, am I the only one who can't hear him?
No, I can't hear him either. I was gonna say a Yaris is fun to drive, even on the street, just to throw it around. And I haven't driven the new 2.5 RS, but wasn't it Travis Pastrana who did that intro with it?
I don't remember.
I thought that's how they marketed it. It was like Travis Pastrana was drifting in or something. And
he's back. I think Dewey's back. Sorry, Rick, you were saying?
Oh, and I was gonna say it was. I was like, this is stupid.
Yes.
I'm like, who are you trying to sell this car? Yeah, calling it a 2.5 RS, having Travis Pastrana bring it in and throwing it around, or maybe it was Bucky. I don't remember who it was, but it was. I was just so uninterested so quickly.
I think Serapin Wolf just said it's a CVT only also, and I think the only one I've ever seen. No, I'm sorry, man. In no way are you going to win this argument.
No,
it would be a rental car. It'd be a rad rental car.
Oh, sure. Sick rental. Man. All about
it. It's a regular car. Okay. I'm not saying it's a performance car by any means, but somebody who is just buying a car that doesn't want some, Dodge Viper, or doesn't want a BRZ, doesn't want a WRX. They get a 2.5 RS. It's a hatchback. And they can go have some fun on their way to,
My guy, if you're going to spend the amount of money on a 2.5 RS, go buy a used STI.
That's a different car.
It is not a different. I'm sorry. You will be better served with that with that STI. You get a manual, so you get to have that enjoyment. You're going to have better brakes. You're going to have better everything, but you're still going to have 4 seats. You're going to. I'm sorry, I do not agree with you in any way.
Not everybody wants to buy a used car. Number one, and number two, you buy a used STI, you're putting a motor in it, basically guaranteed, because everybody's an idiot.
That's fair.
I don't want to pay $20,000 for an STI and then put another $20,000 in a motor.
You're right. So what they should go buy right now, and unfortunately, it's the only thing on the market they either go buy a current model WRX, and maybe that's a little too expensive for them, or they get themselves a GR Corolla, which again will be too expensive for them. I'm sorry, it costs money to go have that sort of fun anymore. That car is never going to be fun.
I need to test drive one. I'm convinced it's a good regular car. It's CVT only.
Dude, then go buy a freaking Camry. That's what that is. That is a Camry with some trim.
It essentially is an all-wheel drive Camry. You're right.
I have a pretty decent amount of fun in my manual, because it's a manual, 2-liter of cross-track. And it is slower than balls.
Yes.
But I could never take that on track. It would roll.
Right.
But I beat the snot out of
RS.
that thing. It's entertaining. The 2.5 RS, I'm telling you.
Autocross. I wouldn't take it on track, but autocross. I could take that car on autocross track and have a good time. And you and I have a friend. His name is Blake. He had an Impreza Sport. Balake. Yes. He had an Impreza Sport for a while, and that car was great on track.
Yeah, you know what he ended up doing? You know what he ended up doing?
Spinning it and totaling it.
And you know what he bought?
A BRZ.
Okay.
You're not wrong.
You know what he's still driving?
He's driving a BRZ in his daily
driver. You know why?
Prius.
I talked to him literally like a week ago. It's not even a joke. And yeah, he's still on a BRZ.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying it's underappreciated for what it is. The WRX, I think, is overhyped with all these stupid trim levels.
90% of people who buy that car will be like, yeah, this is cool for about a week, and then they're going to go, I should have got something else. Because the second you drive it off the lot, it's used.
100%.
They're going to regret purchasing it.
I agree. The reason the 2.5 RS worked the first time back in the late 90s, early 2000s is because the WRX wasn't there.
Exactly.
So I'm just saying I think it's, let's say, 10% underappreciated for what it is, living its life as a regular car that's better than most.
I think it's a hole in the payroll.
It's not everybody wants a WRX because they don't want to be a boy racer. But it's you and I talking. We got Rick here. Let's keep talking to Rick. We've been at this for 2 hours. I'm sorry.
No, I'm enjoying this. I was gonna say the 2.5 RS is like my first Subaru. You know, like I've had friends that their parents bought them for the first car, a base, Impreza L, 97 Impreza L, and they fell in love with it.
But you could do something with that car. You know what I mean? You can't do anything with newer cars.
You can sell it.
That's it. It's all you got. It isn't like you can learn the hobby within that car. There's no upward mobility with that car at all.
It's a CVT, so it's not like you can mod it, and it's a CVT, which means like you're better off with anything else. So I get it, but I'm just convinced it's not a bad car.
But that doesn't make it a good car.
I'm not saying it wasn't a good car.
5 is still a 5, no matter what.
Man, we need less crappy, boring cars on the road. We need more regular cars that are fun to drive. So that kid that inherits it as his first car is going to have a better time than somebody with a 4-speed automatic and an open-wheel front diff.
What car manufacturers don't understand. Like, why do people still modify 90s Civic? Why are we all hunting for old clean GCs like base model L's?
Because it was accessible when you were younger.
And they're easy to fuck with. Everything is so locked down now, and there's nothing they can do about it. A lot of that is EPA and everything else. Yeah. But they don't make it easy to screw with.
No.
Okay, and they're just, especially with every car coming with factory stability and traction control and all. You can't go be an asshole in your car.
No, yeah, and you can't.
Most of the time, you can't even turn it off.
Right.
So tell me one more reason why the 2.5 RS, the current one, is something you'd want to buy if you're already taking a slow car and you can't turn off traction control.
No, I'm telling you that there is a gap in the market between potato salad like a Prius and a WRX, which is a nice, sporty car that you can live with every day, and you can put car seats in the back, and you can take it to an
I
autocross
hate
and
to
everything
say
in
it,
between.
but there isn't.
Hmm.
No, because
Okay.
what people want is potato salad, or they want something entertaining.
All right.
I'm gonna have to. We're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one. I'm
Agree
sorry.
to disagree.
You know those parents that'll buy their kids a brand new car because they're like, oh, it needs to be new, it needs to be reliable.
Yeah,
That would be a great, and they're not going to buy a WRX. They're not. That would be a great.
Exactly.
That would be a great point.
I agree.
This is what I'm talking about. It's something that you can sell to your parents.
I'm with you. Subaru won't make it though. Okay.
No,
Subaru
it
isn't
won't
going to
make
make it because the BRZ looks like a sports car, and that's what they actually want. Or need.
Oh, you mean a fun
BRZ.
car?
Okay.
That won't
So
make a
you
fun
know who needs to make it, and they won't because they've lost their way so hard. It's Honda. Honda needs to make the CRX again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it could be 105 horsepower. It could basically be a Honda Fit with sporting aspirations. Okay,
Yes.
but
There
you can argue as the kid, this thing gets 45 miles to the gallon. This thing's hammer ass reliable. It's really easy to work on. It doesn't have a turbo, so it's less shit that can break down. Like it's good because it's light. I can't bang my high school sweetheart in the back seat because it doesn't have them.
It's a feature.
It's a feature. It's a feature. Like Honda needs to make that again, and they need to sell it for like under 25 because that's what that car would cost now. And it needs to have shit interior, okay? And it needs to come with a manual, and it needs to be super ass basic. And if they want to sell a Type R version of it or whatever, great, okay, and make that mid 30s. But it's got to be 20 to 25 because that's what inflation would put it at. Because when you could buy a Civic Si back in the day, it was 18.
Yeah, but inflation has hit us all really hard.
That's why I'm saying 20 to 25. I think they could do it. I really do.
I'm shocked you can buy a new BRZ for $30,000 flat. Like, that's just absurd to me.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be cheap. Like, cheap. Like, cheap that your parents go,
oh, yeah.
I'm not going to buy this 2.5 RS for you that, because that's 30-something. It's $30,000. Yes. We could afford that. We could swing that Honda. Instead of buying a Kia, we're going to get the Honda.
Right.
Yes.
Honestly, you know what would be sick? Hyundai could do this.
Yeah.
Hyundai could make that little car, and they could make the next CRX. Really easy. Make the next CRX, Hyundai.
They have the Veloster.
Like it was in the 90s.
Hold on. They have the Veloster.
Not anymore.
Oh, what?
That's been gone for a minute.
Randy, help me out here.
Veloster. Either way, but they need to make something small. It needs to be really small. Like, I'm talking Honda, the CRZ. Remember they made that? They should have made the CRX. Yeah, they were sick, right? No, make the CRX. Put a basic bitch K-Series with some revs in it so it makes you feel like you're doing something. But it only makes like 160, 170 horsepower. Like nothing serious.
200 max. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm talking about. That's, in my eyes, that's a 2.5 RS. It's not, but that's how I want it to be. I will it into existence. Okay. It's got ye old, I don't care engine. It's got a CVT that I don't care about, but it has aspirations. Okay. And my next car is going to be a WRX.
Lewis just brought it up. He goes, do you guys not get the i20 or i30? We don't get the i20 here. That's a Hyundai. And I honestly, we need that. It's base model only makes 87 horsepower. We need that with like 160 with a manual, with some basic alloy wheels, really basic ass car. But maybe give it an LSD. You know what I mean? Give it the small things that you need to make this a really balanced track slut. But that's really it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Why do we not make that anymore?
No, not every car needs to be track capable to be a good car. Rick and I were just talking about this.
I'm not saying it does.
Man.
I'm just saying you need to think it does. Okay? You need it in your brain. It's like you never went to a parking lot meet. Give the kid something to go talk about when he's showing off his new car his parents bought him at a Sonic meet.
2.5 RS is not a parking lot car. You do not go to meets with that car.
You need a parking lot car.
No, that's true. That's true. Okay.
You gotta look cool amongst the bros, dude.
Now, another reason why I bring this up is I have a friend and his name, well, his name's not important, but he drives a BRZ, okay, and he really wants to buy a shit box in order to learn to drive better on the street. He wants to rev it out and needs to have fuck nothing for horsepower. And I'm like, dude, you have one of the best cars made in the last 10 years. Just drive that more. But he's not hearing it. At least he found like a decent old used Mini Cooper, and Dewey gave the blessing, so that would be a good car. But it's not a BRZ.
Like, it's not a BRZ.
It's not a parking lot meet car. That's what I'm saying. It needs to be better. And if he didn't have the BRZ, then you can buy some normal shitty car. But you have a BRZ. Don't go down.
He has the right car already to do what he's trying to do. So I don't know why he feels he needs to go buy a Mini. I didn't realize he had a BRZ.
No, he has a second gen like me. He almost bought my used one when I upgraded to the TS. So
Lewis just posted up. I didn't even realize Hyundai made this, and they need to bring it to the States. The i20 NS.
Yes.
The i20N. Yes, I want that.
Yes.
Bring that over. I don't know if that's like mini turbocharger or not. I kind of wish they wouldn't make it with a turbo. I really would like the idea of like it not making shit for torque and having to rev its balls off to do something. Yes. And it also, in theory, should make it a little more reliable when stupid kids are ripping around with it. But what do I know?
Yep. Now, I don't know. All my yelling in support of the new 2.5 RS, that is not that car. i20N, I could feel comfortable going on track with. That's an actual fun, sporty car.
But how much is that? You know what I mean? Let's be real. If that was sold here in the States, it'd be $35. And that's too much.
Too much.
No, we need a base vehicle that you could build. And they sell like a Type R version or an N version. But the base vehicle is kind of the same thing with like some shit missing. Okay, and they're going to sell 1 billion of those and start a whole new tuner market.
So, quick Google search: i20N, adjusting for foreign exchange, it's about $33,000.
Man, I called that, didn't I?
Yes, you did. So,
Rick, what's your take?
Dude, I love hot hatches. I love small cars.
I do too. Isn't it crazy how you can walk up to a GD STI and at one point we thought that was a big car and how small that thing is now?
Yeah.
I remember when Cobb imported their first GTR, the R35. And it was, I always used to think the GD was a pretty big car. And seeing the GTR next to the GD, it like dwarfed it. And I'm like, whoa, like cars are getting, the GTR is a massive car anyway, but just in general, cars are getting huge.
Huge. Yeah. The new VB is a giant car.
It's a big car.
A big car. And even like the current Civic is massive.
Yep.
It's absolutely massive.
So, all right, get this guys. 2024 Nissan GTR, length about 185 inches. How much do you think the new WRX is?
170.
184. It's 1 inch shorter than a GTR. Yeah, this is where we're at. It's the size of an F-150. Let's be real.
That's ridiculous.
It's insane. I don't want to drive that car, and I love.
That's why I'm saying like Honda could make it. Maybe Hyundai could make it, but little with just literally take the recipe for a CRX and build that.
Stop with the horsepower inflation. We don't care about horsepower. We care about driving experience. It just cannot be slow because American highways are very fast. We all drive 90, and that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But just, I don't want it. I can't believe I'm saying this. I don't want a 400 horsepower STI. I need just better driving experience. Make it 320.
I think they're going to they're going to need to give it 400, and it won't be hard for them to give it 400. Okay, just so you know, it will not be hard with the new FA24 to give it 400.
Sure.
So it's going to end up with 400 because it's going to need to keep that same level of acceleration with a new added weight.
Yes.
Okay, so it's going to have 400, but don't look too hard into the 400. Okay.
I do, because the weight, yes, tire technology's come a long way, chassis come a long way.
It's what it's going to be because they have to base it off that VB chassis.
The R35 proved the point that you could add a lot of weight to a car and make it still really good.
Well, the R35 did that. There's a lot going on with diffs and all sorts of shit to make that do what it does.
That's true.
There's a fucking PlayStation going on under there all the time.
Yes. Yes, I'm saying, man, like it is very different from simplify and add lightness.
Oh, hey, I'm 100% with you, but we're never going to get a GC again. It's not happening.
The new BMW, what is it, M3 or M4, is an extra 500 pounds over the previous generation because of the hybrid system, but nonetheless,
But
it's like 5,000 pounds. That's insane.
I get it, because all of the cars that we're talking about, we're all in love with. The models themselves have continually gotten larger. So
Yeah,
the only way we're ever going to get a GD size car again, okay, with power and all that, is if they literally make a sub model under the Impreza. It ain't happening. But this
sadly.
is the reason I'm
Yes.
like, I hope they make it off the Crosstrek, because the Crosstrek is slightly small.
Right. No, yeah. Sell me a Gravel Express at this point, and I
Oh,
bet you
dude,
could figure out I
I'm
bet you
there.
could get it to not roll. Like,
I'm there.
yeah,
That's why I think they make the Gravel Express just the WRX.
people would lose their
I don't even want to
minds.
modify it, really.
No, yeah. I just
All right. Yeah, I love you guys, and this conversation has been great, but we are over 2 hours. We have to call it.
yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah, and Rick, I know it got real quiet, and it turned into a warranty arguing with Dewey situation in the end of this. But dude, it was awesome having you on here. And
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It was awesome
I
being
am-
here. Honestly, I'm stoked.
100% down with trying to help you get that car up and running. As you know, I want to see if we can tap some community resources and get that to happen, because I have a hard time believing I don't have some leftover shit. Some of the people listening to this have some leftover shit. So maybe in the IAG Insiders Facebook group, like, kind of get a list of like where the car sits. Like, let us know where the car sits so we can kind of poke around at it and figure out if we've got some shit later on.
All right.
Why not, dude? We're down to
Yeah.
help, and I think we just want to see the thing run, man.
Awesome. Well, I'm like, again, I'm kind of speechless because it's hard to ask for help. I mean, as you know, so
You're not
but
asking. I'm offering.
He's
Okay.
he's yelling
Well,
at you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and I will 100%. I will do that.
So, yeah, we're super stoked. And dude, being able to chat with you, like I said, it was a awesome run down memory lane. And those of you, I'm really stoked that, like, maybe this introduces you and some of the stuff that happened to a generation that maybe doesn't realize who you are. I want to do more of these. So if you guys ever come up with any other ideas, some of our OG people who maybe want to hear more from some of the OGs out there that maybe are not in Subarus anymore, let me know. I'll hunt them down too, and we'll have a good time.
Well, and it's weird because I tell people, I'm like, we lived through something like special, right? It felt like
We really
when
did.
you were in it, it didn't feel special. But looking back, we're like, oh, that was a hell of a ride. Like,
That was incredible.
that was something, right? So
Yep.
Not only
Yeah,
were you in it, but you were one of the guys.
yeah, which
Like-
is weird. It's super weird to me to think.
Isn't it
that.
hard to like think about that way?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You moved it forward for the whole
You
industry.
did.
man.
You legitimately moved the needle. So you
Yeah.
can say that, and you can own that for sure.
Yep. I don't know about you. I thought it felt special while we were in it. I started
And
after
you started
did.
late. You
Yeah.
started way late. You
Yeah.
weren't in it when it was
No.
really in it. So
Yeah.
I think my case was I just couldn't see the forest from the trees, or however that saying goes. You know,
Oh,
like
that's a good
totally.
way of putting it.
That's exactly what happened.
Flying close, so close to the sun you couldn't see around it.
I've heard Dewey say that so many times to me. That's what
Dude,
it
you
is.
have no idea how close you are flying to the sun. And
Yep.
in some cases that's super true. And like, I didn't even realize it. Sometimes you have to step back and like really take it all in to realize like how crazy either the situation you're in and try to appreciate it, or like what you've been through and really have appreciation for it. And
right.
like I said, it was super. Dude, I'm so stoked you were on.
All right, focus on like the future. That car, the race car, Rick gets up and running, and you take it to Subi Nats, right? And you turn some laps. Doesn't have to win. Doesn't matter. A little bit of talking about it on a podcast like this, or posting it on YouTube. There's going to be people from all over the world going, "I remember that car. It's so good to see it running again." That's the part that blows my mind. Is that Dewey tells me like you'll have people from all over say, "I know you. I know your voice from the podcast." from all over.
Dude, it's super weird. Like going to like a Subaru event, people like, oh my god, like it's now strange that I'm not signing autographs at stuff, and like it's so weird. But like, and like, I'm dealing with more of like the current generation because nobody knew who I was even 10, 15 years ago. But like, I would have wanted Rick's autograph back in the day.
Yeah, people care about history. People
They
care
do,
a lot
and
about
I'm happy
character
people are
and
getting to hear it, especially on this show.
Yeah,
We gotta call it though, because we all have lives.
Yes.
So, all right, we gotta call it.
Thank you guys.
If you're not home, go home.
If anybody for whatever reason wanted to get a hold of you or follow what you're doing, what do you think's the best way to do it, Rick?
Bro, I'm just Rick Conk, basically on all social medias.
Okay, well,
CONK.
Follow my guy, and I'm hoping you post more in Track Subies and the IAG Insiders group so we can see this car and see how it comes along. I think you should start a YouTube channel, but that's just me.
No, I agree. I've had a little bit of experience doing that, so I think I'd be okay.
Yeah, I think you'd kill it, man. So
Yes.
maybe do something with that, and like, if there's anything I can do to help promote that, or that'd be sick. So we're gonna call it. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Rick, again, one more time, thank you for coming on. This was great, and
thank you.
We will catch you guys all next week. If you're listening to this far in, please share. Leave me a comment on Spotify. Share. It
Like,
helps
share,
us out
comment,
so much.
subscribe.
Yes. Love you to pieces, please. That's good. I love you much.